Hey, my name's Dale Brisby, and you are listening to Like a Farmer, old son.
Hey, y'all, it's Pat. Welcome to another episode of Like a Farmer, powered by AgAmerica Media. Today, I feel like I'm the guest today. I'm at Dale Brisby's studio. I got Dale coming on the show today. But don't forget, every single Wednesday, check us out on YouTube and wherever you listen to your audio podcasts. Let's get into it. Mr. Brisby.
Thanks for coming, buddy.
Dude, thanks for hosting me. I mean, I feel like, hey, I hit him up, hey, come on the show, and then bam, I get to stay at his Airbnb. I get to come to the studio. What an operation you have.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
I mean, how do you feel like today, and we're going to talk about the beginning of it, but where you sit today, how do you feel right now?
Oh, well, I feel amazing today. It's 6 days after November 5th. So yeah, red-blooded American sitting in Winnebago, Texas. Drinking the ranch fuel plug. No, I feel great, man. Life is so good. There's so much hope right now, and I feel blessed to be able to go back to work.
I agree, and it feels like everybody's energized. And I always like to say on the show,
not just because of the ranch fuel either.
Dude, let me tell you.
I'm done with those. I'm sorry.
The plugs, for God's sake.
We were just talking about it right before the podcast started. We were talking about ranch fuel. He had his first one last night. I'm all right. I'm
ready to give a plug too. Hey, ranch fuel, I love your shit, and I am jacked up.
Use
on
code
ranch
Dale.
Fuel. Use code Dale
on ranchfuel.com. Sorry. All right, I'm done for real.
Let's talk a little bit about it. I mean, this is not a show that I even talk a ton about politics. I do believe what I talk about and where you and I come from is very bipartisan. I don't care who you vote for, but you got to eat. You got to be clothed. I love rural America and the lifestyle and the farmers and ranchers that help fuel this country. It feels like we got a lot of energy after November 5th.
Man, I don't talk a lot about it either, just because I feel like God put me on this earth to do two things. That's make 90-point bull rides and make people laugh. And so anyhow, I don't get into it a lot, but I can't help but feel like we turned a corner and we're headed in the right direction as a country. And there's just, for so many practical reasons, you know, the stock market's up, Hamas says they're done, that all these different things that just like, we basically haven't even gotten started yet. You know, it's not January of 25, but there's just all these things looking up. And regardless, again, I have friends that disagree with me politically, but I feel great as a businessman, as a YouTuber, as a rodeo cowboy, as a ranching cowboy, just moving forward. When you ask me how I feel today, I can't help but bring that up just a week later.
And look, the resumes are flowing to work at McDonald's. The trash men and women feel like they're
how about that? That was
seen
fun.
Again.
Yeah, that was a fun twist.
What do you think? This is interesting too. I think, and I've seen it and heard it, some of the people that won during this election were podcasts. This new media space, I mean, the podcasts that got a lot of these politicians on their shows, where do you see this type of new media going? Because that was a big part of this election, is coming on the podcast, because it seems like this linear TV and all the restraints and ropes that these networks have, that these people, when they want their voice to be heard, they're coming on podcasts because they can go and say whatever the hell they want to.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, a podcast is a great place to really get to know somebody. You know, you can get clips, and you know, Joe was talking about wanting to have her on basically to find out who she was as a person, you know, not to trap her, not to corner her. He'll avoid anything she wanted to avoid, but it's more so just, you can't, it's not a polished speech that you're used to hearing a politician give. They're responding to questions, and it's casual. And I don't know, there's so many people that consume podcasts now, and I don't think there can be too many out there. And it's just like any other social media platform. The cream will rise to the top. Whatever's the most interesting, people will continue to listen to. And so people are hungry for that kind of info. And I listen to his on Rogan every second of it, and Theo Vaughn's, just because, man, what a great, you get to experience Trump through the eyes of Rogan or through the eyes of Theo Vaughn. And it's a great way to get to know someone without being in the room. So I think that's why they're winning. I think that's why the podcast, space that is.
Was there like an opportunity maybe for President-elect Trump to come on your show?
It was like 4 business days too late. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know. I was really close. His campaign manager wanted to, and it was just a little too late. And by the time and then once he got close to doing Rogan, that was going to be the last one he was on.
Yeah.
So there was like 10 days after Rogan before the election.
I love the first 10 minutes of me and Dale was all politics, and we both said, yeah, we don't really talk about politics a lot on our shows.
I'm the one that brought it up, and I didn't mean to. I can't help but feel a boost of energy this last week. So, it doesn't look like the odds of us going into World War III are diminishing. I don't know. That's exciting in and of itself.
That's true.
Even if you are, no matter which side of the aisle, hey, we're probably not going to go into World War III.
Yeah, you're spot on.
Like China was like, no, we don't want anything. Russia was like, that's a real man. That's what Putin says. Like, what did he say? You get to you see who somebody really is in an extreme moment like that, and it's just like they don't want to fight Trump. You know what I mean? Like,
dude,
so whether you're left or right, like you don't want to fight him. Like he's crazy. He'll come after you. You got shot at, and he started pumping his fist in the air. Like, anyway, so left or right, it looks like we're going to avoid World War III. So you can at least raise your glass to that, I guess.
He literally got shot, stands up, and chants, "Fight, fight."
Yeah, we don't like to talk politics, but even if you don't like to talk politics, that's pretty badass. That's pretty badass.
Where did Dale Brisby start? Like, at what point were you like, "Hey, I'm Dale Brisby, and I'm gonna start this. I'm gonna start."
When I spurred my first bull at 9 years old, and I invented riding bulls with one hand. Actually, before that, it was 2 hands, and I was 9. It was in the ABC Arena in Lubbock, Texas. Spurred the dog out of him, and I was already living on my own. Had an apartment, and was really living the carny lifestyle prior to that.
Yeah.
Which rodeo cowboys and carnies were one and the same. And so it wasn't much of a transition for me work-wise, but really kind of fell into the rodeo lifestyle. And yeah, that was the early 70s. And so really just kind of went from there.
And then it just turned into
followed the trail to where is the most money added.
Yeah. And then at what point did you realize, because he's been on the show as well, at what point did you realize JB Mauney was just a better bull rider than you?
Well, I don't know that I ever realized it. And to tip my hat at him, I don't think he ever realized the opposite, so he and I just battle back and forth and always have.
You've had some great guests on your show, but you've also been on some great podcasts as well. That Joe Rogan experience, how was that?
That was cool.
And how does that even happen? Like when Joe wants you on his show, is it like you get this? I feel like it's maybe the president calling, like it's a no caller ID and you answer and it's one of Joe's team, or how does it work?
No, that's what a lot of people thought though, that I had like a marketing team, on my behalf, but no, he just DM'd me.
And then is it kind of, because look, I want to just give you a shout out and your whole team. You have a great operation, but just come in the night before, you got a place for somebody to stay, then you come into the studio. Like, is that how it went? Did you go and stay in Austin for a night, couple nights? And then
yeah, they offered they were like, hey, we can put you up here, we can buy you a plane ticket, all this. But I don't know. I just like, man, I'll pay for my own room. I'll do that. I don't know. He was being a gracious host, but I also understand the value exchange. Let's not get it twisted. Who's doing who a favor here? I'll pay for my own room.
Yeah.
You've done enough asking me on to not that, a $200 room that he was going to buy me is going to affect it. That would wouldn't affect him either way. But no, yeah, they just said here, be here on, I think it was November 2nd. And I actually had to miss a day of one of my biggest booths of the year, which is National FFA convention, and for the FFA, which I'm sure you're familiar with. But love the FFA shout out. If you're not in FFA, you ain't no cowboy. Regardless, had to fly in for that and missed the day, but I felt like it was going to be worth it, and it was. And so, yeah, just went on, showed up at 1. I went to the Mothership the night before, his comedy club in Austin, and he headlined. And so it was great to see that. I'd been really wanting to go there anyway, so I just kind of scheduled it where I went to the Mothership, then there. And he was hilarious. He had like almost an hour-long set, and it was nonstop laughter. So I'd never seen him live. And then, so the next morning just showed up, and he's cool as a cucumber. Took a picture with Ty, drove me down there, and was super cool with him. And
because the word around the street is when you get invited, you can only bring one person. Is that true, or is that kind of just like the make believe of the Joe Rogan experience?
I don't know. I only had one person with me, so maybe it just worked out. I can't remember exactly how that went, but he was cool about it.
That's the opportunity to be able to do that. And I want to talk about you've already given like 100 plugs today on the episode.
I gave one.
The
Ranch
FFA,
Fuel.
I do respect
that too.
And like, where do you get the passion for people wanting to be in agriculture, or at least be knowledgeable about it? Like, where does that passion come from? Was it a childhood thing?
Yeah, it came from my dad. So when I was born, we worked on he worked on the Pitchfork Ranch, which is next to the 4.6s. And that was, the start of me just being introduced to the ranching industry, which, I don't remember that. I was too small to remember anything there. But it just followed me, and for me personally, it was kind of the basis of what I would learn when we moved to manage another ranch. And so that's what my dad caused me to fall in love with cowboying, but he eventually went to teach ag, and he was managing a ranch and teaching high school ag, and so he was my ag teacher. I would go with him to ag teachers conventions, state conventions, like as a little kid, 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade. Like, I remember being at every ag teacher convention, they'd have a team roping, and sometimes I would rope in them with them guys. And so my dad's friends were either cowboys or ag teachers. And the FFA ran through ag education, ag science classes. And so where the 4-H ran through the county, anybody can be in 4-H. If you're in FFA, you can be in 4-H, but it's also the 4-H is good because you don't have to be in school through it. So like a homeschool kid could also be in 4-H. And my dad just happened to be an ag teacher, so I was in everything FFA. And I did go to like a couple of 4-H camps a few times, but I was just immersed in it. And when you're in FFA, there's CDEs and LDEs. There's career development events, which is, stock showing animals, ag mechanics competitions where you can build a trailer and compete against other students and take that to competitions. And then there's LDEs, which I loved. LDEs are leadership development events. And that's where you see guys in official dress, and they're competing for instance, creed speaking, where you would recite the creed. You could be in ag issues, where you and a team would tackle an issue related to agriculture, which I was in. The one I loved the most was called extemporaneous speaking. And you'd go into a room, there'd be 3 judges. There's a bowl with a bunch of topics in it, and you reach out, you draw out 3 topics, and then you have 30 minutes to prepare on one of those. And at the end of the 30 minutes, so you pick one of the 3, you got 30 minutes to prep, and at the end of the 30 minutes, you have to deliver a 5-minute speech about this topic. I loved that. Like every moment of extemporaneous speaking. Anyways, I learned a lot just through that about being prepared and the confidence you would have going on stage.
Oh, yeah.
Being prepared as opposed to not being prepared. And that taught me a lot, actually, thinking back. I kind of forgot about that, but I'm going on a rant, but I love the FFA and I love what it does. It's the largest student-led organization in the country. Like,
I did not know that. Yeah.
Student-led, meaning like these state officers, these national officers are in charge. There's advisors, but as a state officer, you're over 18. So or most guys are 18, and they're in charge of a lot of the policy things that will affect even things down to a chapter level. And the amount of responsibility that it can teach a kid, and not to mention the friendships. Like my lawyer today is someone I met through FFA, however many years ago. And
it's like growing up playing sports. I mean, you get lifelong friends doing it, but you learn
it's
values.
So much better than sports. It's so much better than sports.
Damn, you're a big FFA guy.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say it like that. Like sports are great. Don't get me wrong. And the relationships you would create on your team are valuable. And I'm not trying to discount those when I say it's better than sports. The reason it's better than sports is the relationships I form with people from all over the state. And if you get too, involved beyond the state, in terms of setting you up to succeed in the future. Because if you think about it, what do sports teach you? Well, you do create some relationships, but you're also going to, you're passionate about a thing. I loved football, and I got very passionate about football. And it taught me to work hard at something I'm passionate about, and that's valuable, and you take that with you. But what, other than that skill or that thing that football taught me, I'm not throwing a football anymore. So unless you're going to go play football and that be your craft, that's the thing you take from it, the lesson you learn on how to work hard at something you're passionate about. Where in FFA, I was also passionate about extemporaneous speaking, and I worked hard, and I can use that skill every day.
And look, you're spot on, Dale. I mean, at the end of the day, and this is great. I love that you just said that, because I think some of the issues that we are facing, and I go back to why we even started this brand, it's to celebrate rural America, but also educate people where your food come from, where your clothes come from, understanding that, we do have land shortages in America. Couple decisions go wrong way, like we could have food issues on us being dependable as a country to feed us. And then labor issues. It is so hard, as you know, to find a young person to work in agriculture, because it's still manual labor. And I don't care. There's some commodities that you just will not be able to do the work with a robot or AI or technology. I mean, we're in the citrus business back home. You will never have a robot picking an orange off a tree. We're in the cattle business back home. You'll never have a robot riding a horse to go tend to the cattle. Like, how can we as a society get back on track and get people wanting to be involved in agriculture?
Well, coming off of my 9-minute rant, for starters, you can put kids in FFA. The 4-H also. I don't know as much about the 4-H. I know it's a great organization, but like I said, my dad was an ag teacher, and so I know a lot about the FFA. But you set up this kid coming out of, even if he's just doing things on the chapter level, and like, he doesn't have to do everything I just described. Maybe he raises one animal once or twice, and then gets in a few LDEs, learns how to weld, whatever, gets out of high school, and then just goes on. The thing is, he's now educated, and he's going to see some of the ridiculousness that comes from some of these weird ideologies where they talk about, cow farts are going to make the world crumble, and he's going to know that how baloney they are. He's just going to be able to help decipher. I don't know that the answer to solving all the world's problems is to make everyone a farmer. I think the answer is to educate the people that are on the fence, because there's people that, this is the same thing with rodeo. I am an advocate for my industry, rodeo, ranching. Like I'm not trying to make everyone a rodeo cowboy or make everyone a cowboy even, but there's people in the middle that are somewhat interested and they're listening to me, and then they might go over here and listen to this other person who has this weird opinion about cow farts. And what I'd like them to do is just hear the other side, get off the fence, and at least become a fan of our industry. At least, for instance, one of the equally as ridiculous as cow farts is that the flank on a bull goes around its testicles. That's ridiculous. That's not, because there's also bucking horses, and some of those horses are mares. So what would you wrap it around on a mare? Just common sense would tell you, like, okay, no, it doesn't work like that. And once you start to dispel some myths for the public and the people that are on the fence, and they get off of it, and they just don't agree with a ridiculous ideology, well, then that's how you start to gain momentum in advancing your cause.
Hey, y'all, it's Pat with Like a Farmer. Are you looking to add some local flavors to your recipes? Well, visit freshfromflorida.com today, where you can browse hundreds of delicious recipes that bring Florida freshness to your table all year round. Become a Fresh from Florida member for free and create your own menus. Save and send your favorite dishes and get exclusive access to monthly newsletters packed with fresh local recipes. I can promise you will be a favorite in your neighborhood. From the Florida fields to your fork, year-round freshness and flavor are just a logo away. Fresh from Florida, there's a sunshine in every bite. Hey, y'all, today's episode is brought to you by AgAmerica, your go-to financial partner for all things agriculture. As the largest independent financial firm dedicated to rural America, AgAmerica is changing the game when it comes to ag lending and leveling up finance options for farmers, ranchers, and landowners across the nation. And I'll let you know a little secret. The thing that sets this company apart from the rest is the people. They understand firsthand the unique needs of American farmers and ranchers because many of them grew up on farms themselves. They take a farmer-focused approach to finance, prioritizing relationships over transactions to help you build a stronger financial foundation for you and your family. So whether you're looking to buy land or secure working capital, AgAmerica has your back. Visit agamerica.com today to learn more and see how they can help you achieve long-term financial success. Because when farmers thrive, we all do. I love how you're saying, hey, I'm an advocate for the rodeo cowboy, and you're trying to not only celebrate it, but you're trying to educate people in that area, which I love. I want to talk about content creations. And so how long have you been doing that? What did you say?
My very
10
first
years?
YouTube video came out July 1st, 2013.
Okay, so over 10 years.
11, yeah.
This 11, sorry. University of Florida math.
That's all right.
This time and age, I feel like some of the best content creators are in rural America in the ag space. Like, what made you say pick up a phone, pick up a camera, and start doing content? I mean, it truly reminds me of, I had Tyler Toney on the show with Dude Perfect, and they only started not too long before you, because they were 09, and they just pulled up a phone and started doing trick shots. You had something popped in your brain and said, I'm going to start doing it, because you're right. There's nobody advocating for your space back in 2013.
And I just had this divine plan that God had put in front of me, and he orchestrated my life to be where I'm at. For instance, FFA, and the role it played in not only introducing me to the people that I would later do business with, but also setting me up to have the ability to public speak. Zero fear to be on camera. I'd messed up in front of 9,000 people live. Like, why would it bother me to mess up on a camera where you can, people get real nervous even on camera, but like, you can delete it. You can start over.
True.
Or even if you don't, I don't care, because I know what it feels like. Whatever. So the FFA played a big role. My dad was this ranching rodeo cowboy who, lack of better words, indoctrinated me into that lifestyle, and specifically on the rough stock end of the arena. He could team rope. He knew a lot about calf roping, but he was a roughie. There's two ends of the arena. There's timed event and rough stock. The timed event is your barrel racers, your team ropers, steer ropers, your now breakaway calf ropers, and steer wrestlers. All those events are timed. Then your rough stock is a scored, they're, bareback, saddle bronc, bull riding. And then there's 2 other ones that are things you can do on that end. It's bull fighting and pickup man, be a pickup man. So it's 5 things on that end. My dad leaned heavy on those 5. And so I did too. I just grew up on that end of the arena. So God put FFA in my life. He put rodeo in my life. And then I had my mom's dad was an entrepreneur, and he was a businessman. He respected the Western industry, but he was a suit and tie kind of guy. And he taught me these fundamentals of business that are still with me today. And so I really leaned in heavy, and it wasn't him actually. He was in sales in a way, but it was actually a rodeo cowboy, DeWitt Forrest. He's a judge and goes to the NFR judging, and he might have gone to the NFR bareback riding, but he told me at one of these schools when I was a kid, he told the crowd, and I was in the crowd, but he told me, because I know I took it to heart, anybody that ever got rich did it through sales. They sold something. A doctor will make a lot of money, yes, but not as much as Jerry Jones, who sells tickets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I took that to heart, and being a rodeo cowboy and a cowboy, like I guess I've wrapped my mind around I never really had a desire to be rich, but I figured if I could sell something, I would never go hungry. And I leaned into that my whole life. Like I was selling yo-yos in 3rd grade. And, I remember this one field trip, I left with only a couple dollars and came back with 36 because I was selling yo-yos. And then I was oiling the bearings on their yo-yos with this special yo-yo oil that I said I had. And I was restringing, like whatever. Like I was just selling things. And in college, I was selling vitamins. So God put all these things, FFA, rodeo, he put this sales entrepreneur tendency in me, and all that came together with the internet, also mixed with, again, I like to make people laugh. I loved making my mom laugh. So that entertainment, those 4 components. And then it was a God thing that it happened when it did, because 2013, it's Malibu beachfront property that nobody's got yet. Like it's wide open. Everybody starts watching YouTube, but nobody's making anything on it. So if you could make something then and you were just a little bit talented, that means all you had to do was work hard. I was making videos because they were fun to make and my friends thought they were funny. That's why I made them. One time a kid he went to an embroidery shop and he had a hat made that was like my rodeo time cap. And I was like, dang, if I don't sell it to him, he's just going to go have it made anyway. But I'd already been doing the marketing. The product didn't even exist yet. And most people come to the internet with the opposite. They got a product, they want to make money, and then they do marketing. And people don't care. You can't just screenshot your website and throw it online and wonder why the only people that like it are your mom and your aunt. You haven't provided them any value. Fast forward to 2015, we'd been making videos. I was selling a few T-shirts and caps, and I was managing a ranch for an oil and gas company. They sold it, and I just had a chance. I had a couple of job opportunities to manage different ranches, or like one was in Hondo and one was over by Jacksboro. And real offers, real people, great job if you want to be in the ranching industry. Or I come here to this town, work for my brother-in-law, running yearlings and day working, and hold off for another year, 2 years, 3 years to try to make it work with rodeo time. And at the time I was rodeoing. And I also, to be honest, that's what made me turn the ranching jobs down. Full transparency, it had nothing to do with rodeo time. It had everything to do with I needed a job where I could go rodeo on the weekends. And so I doctoring yearlings for my brother-in-law and day working, you're 1099, which I love. Like, hey, make me contract labor.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I want to come and go as I please. Count on me to take care of these yearlings. I'm not going to let these yearlings die, but day to day, because I'm going to be gone on the weekends. And usually when you got like a W-2 job, like they own your ass and you ain't going rodeoing. And so anyways, I don't, that's what landed me here. Fast forward, not even a year, and I was ready to go full-time rodeo time. And so I had the website, and I was also rodeoing. Fast forward another couple of years, and some injuries. I started about 6 years ago. I started averaging a surgery every 12 to 18 months. So, which thankfully, I laugh because they're essentially surgeries that keep me out of the rodeo arena as a competitor, but I can still work.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, I've called it God hitting pause on my rodeo career all along these last several years, which I don't ever talk about those in the videos. Yeah. You'll hear it, 42 minutes in on a podcast, but, so God has hit pause, and maybe he's been hitting stop. I'm not sure. That's between me and God, though.
No, I'm here to give you your flowers, man. Like I said, I walked through this building, the apparel that you have, and that's just flying out the door. I mean, congrats. You have built an unbelievable brand. I
appreciate that. I think I know what to do, but I don't know what I'm doing. And I've got 3 or 4 people that I call every day, and I want to make the next right move, and I want to be wise with the opportunity God has blessed me with. I think that's how God blesses us. You can start winning in life when you realize that the blessing is the fishing pole and not the fish.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what gives me so much hope over this last week after the election, is that now I feel like, oh, thank you, Lord. I don't want anybody to write me a check. I mean, I'll take it if they did, don't get me wrong, but that's not what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for a handout. I'm looking for an opportunity to work. I'd love just a good economy, no World War III, great vibes, as they call it, and then just let me go to work. Let me make the videos. Let me do that and prove my worth to my audience, to where maybe a few of them want to buy a T-shirt, and then I do it again the next day. There's some people in this world, and even in this country, they're praying for an opportunity to work at a job they don't like. I want an opportunity to work, and I'm thankful that I get that opportunity. I'm thankful that it's at a job I love so much.
Let me give you a little insight of where I am right now. I'd love the Dale Brisby advice. So Josh Allen and I, the Bills quarterback, we start this podcast called Like a Farmer, right? Josh and I have had a relationship for 5 or 6 years due to him being a multi-generational farmer back in California. So you've got a show. Season 1 was great. You got a lot of cool guests. And then you start realizing there's other shows that are celebrating, I'm calling it the rural America lifestyle, right? I mean, if I laid out 4 pillars of what I'm calling this lifestyle, that's outdoors, whether it's hunting, fishing, farming, anything you can do outdoors. It's sports, any type of sport. I mean, you probably could pinpoint maybe one sport's more heavier in this community than the other, whether it be NASCAR or college football or whatever that is. Food, I think there's no better time than right now for people wondering where their food comes from and who grows their food. And then country music. I think country music continues as a genre to continue to be more popular every single day. People that aren't even from the country are getting into country music. Well, now we feel like, okay, well, there's a network opportunity. I mean, there's multiple shows that we feel like we can put under this umbrella, and we have. I mean, we started with one show, which is the show we're on now, and now we have 3, 4 shows under the network. So in my mind, there's never been like an end goal for what I'm doing, but there's a goal of just continuing to capture every piece of content we can under this umbrella to share it for 2 reasons: to celebrate this lifestyle, but also to educate this lifestyle like me and you have talked about. Like, have you ever thought about what your end goal is for what you're doing?
My end goal is to keep doing exactly what I'm doing right now. And I love my day to day. I get up and either work out, maybe do some jujitsu back here. We come in here. We're either having a podcast conversation with someone I'm very interested in talking to, or we're out making a video. Like, we did he's editing one. Which hot shot is the hottest? You know, like there's like a dozen different hot shots you can buy on the market. Like, all right, which one's the hottest? We want to figure that out. That was fun to make. I took my first gin, I got it restored, and we took it out mudding after 5 inches of rain. That was so much fun. And so both of those days were so fun. Whenever we film, that's the break. The work starts when the camera turns off. When the camera's on, that's the fun part for me. And so I love what I get to do. And I've met people, you know, I've met some really interesting individuals that I get to do life with, you know, Cowboy Cerrone and people like that I've got to see the world with them. And I love what I do, and I want to keep doing that. It's tough because you got to have money to pay the bills. You can't, you know, you got to put food on the table. And now at this point, I've got to put food on the table of 12 other individuals, my employees. That's what I think about the most is payroll. And how do I make it? Because if you're not growing, then that means if you're not going up, you're going down. And so I've got to continue. I just don't know that there's ever just a full-on plateau. You know, maybe you do, but eventually that plateau is going to either drop or go back up. And so my daily grind is how do we, you know, continue to grow? That way we don't die, so that I can make payroll and pay all these wonderful people that I love doing life with every day. And but you can't get caught in the rat race where you start to sell your soul.
That's so relevant. I mean, we talk about it all the time because we're right outside of Tampa, studios in Tampa, and it's like, hey, you look at the end of this year, 70% of the guests that we have on are going to be athletes and musicians, and 60% of the shows are going to have been filmed in Nashville. And it's like, well, we'll move to Nashville. It's like, I don't want to go out. Like, I don't want to be outside of, you know, where I was raised and my roots are to just go to Nashville for a few more guests. Like, I can figure that part out. And to your point, you know, if we can lock in on those 4 pillars, we can get whoever we want to come on the show, and you can find a tie. I mean, whether it's the Josh Allens that's been on the show, or the Riley Greens, or the Parker McCollums, or the Ross Chastains, or Adrian Grenier, Vinny Chase from Entourage. It's like, I don't want to talk about Josh playing football. Just go and turn on the TV every Sunday. He's doing it at a high level. Or just go to a Riley Green concert. I want to talk about where they came from and how they got to where they are, and adversity they had to face, and success that they had, but then they put it in their pocket and they continue to chase more success. Like, I love the storytelling aspect of what we're doing. And it seems like as you continue to do what you're doing, you'll be able to find some sort of tie back to rodeo time. And that just might be their passion for the lifestyle that you were highlighting. I mean, Terry Bradshaw was a huge get. Obviously, he owns horses, but I feel like somebody would just want to sit here and talk just because of who you are and your storytelling ability to get it out of the people. I mean, that's where I'm at today. I mean, like a farmer, you can look at 2 different ways. You can look at it as you like farmers and you appreciate them, or you want to be in that lifestyle and you want to be a farmer one day. And if you think about it like that, your guest ability just continues to widen.
At the end of the day, for them to be interested, we have to be interesting. And so
you're way more interesting than me, man.
Well, I don't know about that, but one way to be interesting, you know, the way Gary Vee puts it is with kind of a podcast in general, a podcast specifically. If you think about a high school, just a classic, something you'd see on a movie, just a high school party where, you know, there's jocks there that are cool kids. There's, you know, you've got just the good looking people that are just, you know, the cool kids. There's the cheerleaders are cool kids and athletes, whatever. And then there's the kid whose parents just weren't there, and he's the one hosting the party. And he's a cool kid at that party because that's where everybody's going to party. And that's kind of what it's like sometimes to be a podcast host, because, you know, you just provide the place for the cool people to show up to. And it allows you to win also. but I think that there's a level of authenticity that we should, sometimes try to maintain, because the audience and the market, the mob, can sniff through bullshit, and so that's why I like to stay true to people that I'm interested in and try to circle them back. With farming, like, it'll be pretty easy to circle it back to anybody because everybody eats.
Boom.
So, I mean, you can just like, what's your nutrition like? Okay, well, guess what? A farmer was involved. All right, now let's talk about football, whatever.
Correct,
so you can circle it back however you want. But, I think, is there a world where if I were to, move to, if I'm spending time around comedians right now in Texas, like, all right, well, if I'm down around Austin, I'm going to have more opportunities. Or if I were in Vegas, if there was a time where if you were in LA, like all the hot podcasters were like, not hot as in good looking, but just like doing really well, they were all in LA. Well, like, you can chase those locations and get more guests. Yeah. Or I can stay here, stay true to who I am. Yesterday, I had Tim Washington on, who is a cowboy and worked on the Matador Ranch for the last 36 years and never done an interview, never done anything on media, doesn't have social media, but he's cowboyed his entire life. He's, a man of God, has some cool stories about roping bulls and a tornado taking his house. And we got to talk about that yesterday. And now the whole world is going to get to hear his conversation about what it's like to grow up as a cowboy in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. So anyway, I don't know if you stay true to yourself, and I think that, like I said, the Lord's going to reward you with opportunities, but for them to be interested, we have to be interesting. That's one thing the market will not care about.
I agree. Can we play a game?
Depends.
I like doing a game on the show. It's called Give 'em the Boot. And this game is presented by Tecovas.
Okay.
So what's going to happen is you're going to have a boot. By the way, these are yours.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. I'm gifting you a pair of these boots. Tecovas has been a great friend of the show. And you have a boot here, and there is questions in that boot. Okay? And you pull them out, and you're allowed to give one of them the boot.
Oh, man.
Oh, you love that smell.
They smell good.
Golly. I didn't know, I'll be honest with you, I don't know if you were a square toe.
That's
or
that
not.
farmer toe. Yeah, this is it. No, yeah, this is good. I like this. This would be a walking heel with that wider square toe. This is a sharp boot.
Okay.
Very sharp boot.
Glad that you like it. So give them the
Cowboys,
boot.
we normally wear like a riding heel, and then it'll be a smaller square in the front. But these are good if I'm going to or if I was farming.
Yeah, correct. Or if you're going to Vegas or NFR or something, you might rock them. A few questions in there. You're allowed to boot one of them. Question number 1.
Who is your favorite character on Yellowstone? You can't say you. Dang. That's a good question. That's what I was going to say. Yeah. I was going to say me from that one episode I was in. There's a whole plot that we were going to unravel as where the Yellowstone, where Dale Brisby and, Jimmy team up, and then he comes to work on Radiator Ranch, and then it's Radiator Ranch against Dutton Ranch. Anyway, we ended up not making that episode, but regardless, I'd say Jimmy is my favorite character since he's the one I, have gotten to know best. I met Cole Hauser and Rip, but got to ride around in the pickup for a few days with Jimmy. Super nice guy.
Seems like
Jefferson.
Yeah.
White. But I like Travis too. So Taylor Sheridan and his character are pretty funny. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Jimmy.
Okay, like that. Question number 2.
I haven't given one the boot yet. You get kicked out of the state of Texas. Where would you go and why? Man, probably Oklahoma. Like as much of a hard time as I give Oklahoma, like it's really close to Texas, and they kind of fly under the radar
as a state.
Like as far as I think so. They're probably
state income tax. Is that a state? Yeah, it's a state income tax state.
I don't know that, but I do know that a lot of Texas gets a lot of press, and So a lot of people come to Texas, and then Oklahoma, like, it's pretty much just right there. Like, you know, it's like kind of the same kind of grass and country and all that. And it's not that far from Texas if I was going to try to sneak back in.
True.
When I try to sneak back in.
It would have been easier to sneak back in if the election would have went a different way. All right, that's my last politic plug right there. I apologize.
If you could start Dale Brisby over, what would you change? I mean, there's always things you would do different, you know, little things. Oh, well, one big mistake I made.
Here we go.
It's not that fun, but I did lose a lot of money. I never would have expected that I would enjoy selling T-shirts so much. And so when someone suggested printing my T-shirts, I was like, well, I never would have expected I'd enjoyed selling them, so I'll print my own and bring all that margin in-house, as they say. You know, that sounds good, right? Like, you just open up that margin. Now I'm going to pay myself that extra money. But now you're focusing on the expense side of the shirts, which is important here in a second. So I call the T-shirt printing machine sales lady. Guess what? She thought it was a good idea too. Wouldn't you know it? Dale, brilliant. She sold me the top of the line. She was like, you're going to want to go big. And I was like, you bet I am. So I got the most expensive rock T-shirt press they had. They financed it for me.
Oh, that was nice of them.
Right? Another win. So we get this machine. They install it, give us a little education on how to run it. We go to a thing to learn how to run it. And my T-shirt printer, they were like, the guy was maybe going to sell it. The people we use in Fort Worth, great company, and he did end up selling later. But like, he was kind of, and I was like, man, what if I lost this one printer? It'd be nice to, that's kind of what got me going. Yeah. So it wasn't just me daydreaming about how can I make more money? It wasn't that. It was more like out of survival mode. I was like, ooh, if I'm printing my own, that's the best, you know, then I can have control over it. But printing T-shirts is so complicated. The inks, the humidity, you got to have a dark room, a washout room. It's very complicated. It's way easier to do embroidery on a cap. And the other thing is, people will print for so cheap, because once you buy those machines, you got to keep them running. And people will be like, just beg you for their business to keep their machine running, because it is a service. You're going into the service industry. It's not sales. Yes, the T-shirt is a common theme, but now you're servicing people that are selling the shirt. Yeah. So it's like a truck. Like when I was a kid at San Antonio Stock Show with my dad, because he was an ag teacher, we stayed in this one hotel all week. And when we first pulled up, there was this badass Peterbilt parked at the end of the parking lot. Like a little bit stretched, but not too much. Like chrome. Oh, yeah. Had the eyebrow. Just a sharp truck. My dad had driven for a rodeo company, so like he appreciated, you know, being a bull hauler. And I was like, yeah, Dad, that's cool. Well, by the end of the week, it was still in the same parking spot. And when we left there, he's like, the only thing wrong with that truck is it's not running. And it was like this moment where I was like, oh, yeah, dang, he's just, because that's, you know, it's like that T-shirt printer. If it's not spinning, it's not making you any money. And I hated it. I hated it running this T-shirt press. So while we got it installed up there and we were building this, we were added this on back here. I don't know if you've been back there. We added it on. That was going to be the T-shirt printing machine. I don't know if you expected this long-winded of an answer. I love it, though. It's a freaking podcast, people. They finished that in about the same week that we're going to move that machine back there. Like I had to raise the concrete. It's like a 9-foot drop off the back of that building. We had to bring in dirt because that way it would all be level so we could move the machine level. And I was like, I hate this. I hate printing. I don't want to run it personally. And I hate when this machine is not running because you're not making money. And I called my buddy. He's kind of in my inner circle and on my council, so to speak, and he builds homes. And I'm telling you, I mean, I'll say it. We somewhere between $40,000 and $50,000 is what I ended up losing. Last question. Who has been your favorite episode on your podcast? Are you familiar with Eddie Gallagher? He's a Navy SEAL. From what I've heard on podcast, he's got a book out called Man in the Arena.
Okay, yeah.
But essentially, he went on trial for murdering, get this, an ISIS fighter while overseas in war. Yeah, murdering this guy. So anyways, he is this crazy story where they blow up this building or whatever. They clear out this building. I can't remember how, but essentially there's this survivor, and this guy was gonna die. This ISIS fighter who was shooting at them moments before, and this guy was gonna die, and these guys said that he stabbed him. Well, turns out, fast forward after being in prison for however long, his somebody, a witness there, who had been granted immunity by the Navy because the Navy wanted him to put Eddie away. Like, all right, well, so this guy had full immunity. Whatever he said would not incriminate himself. And so he came out and he said, Eddie didn't kill him because I did. And anyways, it was this crazy moment where, because the good Afghan, I think it was in Afghanistan. No, it might have been Iraq, but the good, the partnering force, the good army over there that we were training, they would take these guys. They didn't have the same rules we did. They would torture them. They would take the ISIS fighters, the ones that are alive, like, hey, where's this? Where's that? They would torture them. Well, we didn't torture them. Well, where they tortured them was right next to this same place that these American soldiers were. And this guy was like, you could hear them getting tortured. And Eddie even confirmed. He's like, yeah, you could look through a hole in the wall and see them getting tortured. And anyways, this guy that confessed, he was like, this guy was going to die. I didn't want to listen to him get tortured that night. So I blocked his air tube and he died. Anyways, I had him on, and that was like this crazy, getting to hear that story like from him. So then Eddie eventually gets exonerated and he gets to go free. But it was a crazy book, crazy story. Rob O'Neill, the guy who killed Osama bin Laden, he was neat. The one that was most impactful for me lately has been Trevor Brazil. We recorded his July 2nd, but he's a winner. He's 26-time world champion on the timed event in, and they call him the King of the Cowboys. They either call him that or me, depending on who you ask.
Yeah, depending on what day it is. Yep.
Yeah, and depending on what end of the arena you're at, I guess. But he is got some very simple fundamentals that he's just really good at implementing every time he's in the arena. But he has a very unique way about going about it. And hearing him talk about it extensively was super cool.
Give him the boot, presented by Tecovas. That's why
I didn't give any of them the boot.
Yeah, which is awesome. I've only had one person give the boot, and that was because I asked Erica which child was her favorite. So as a mom, she decided to give that one the boot, which is fair.
Yeah.
Going back to the Cuban thing and just you being like surprised that he said yes. Like, when it comes to you being asked to be on shows like this one, I mean, what makes you say yes to come on Like a Farmer?
I'll go on anybody's podcast. I had seen yours before.
Yeah.
And clips of it. I saw him on YouTube a lot, and then
probably either JB or Jackson. That little kid is just a monster when it comes to content. Jackson, the little farm kid.
I don't know Jackson.
He's a tractor
probably
kid.
JB's then.
It was JB's, I'm sure, but Jackson's that.
What's his last name?
Kid. Jackson. Just a Jackson thing is his.
Is he
handle.
the TikToker?
Yeah, Jackson Locks is his name.
No, not.
He was just in the John Deere commercial. I mean, unbelievable kid, 9 years old. Like,
yeah, he sounds interesting. I'd love to meet him, but it would have been JB.
Okay, yeah.
But I don't know. Like, and before Cuban agreed to go on mine, I can't always travel to them because I travel so much already. So if someone will come to my studio, I'll jump on. Yeah, I'll let somebody. You can use my cameras. The SD cards get expensive, so if you would ship those back to me, sometimes I'll ask people to do that. You guys brought your own, but if someone was willing to drive to me, I'll do an interview with them. doing
What's
here?
a podcast what's a podcast out there that you haven't been on that you'd love to be on? I mean, you've been on the Mecca. I
don't know. I mean, it would be neat to talk to. I have specific questions for Jordan Peterson, but I don't have to ask him on a podcast. If he wanted me to go on, I would, but I just don't know how much value I could give his audience. Same thing with Theo Vaughn. Like I like being around Theo, and he's like that all the time, just from what little I've been around him. So I like to be around him more, but it wouldn't have to necessarily be on a podcast.
A question that I have for you that I've asked like JB and a few others that have come on the show, because I personally think, this is my opinion, and being just a lover of sports as a whole, especially the non-ball and bat sport, like Ross Chastain, a great friend of mine, I think NASCAR is a great sport. This team thing that PBR is doing, I'm a huge fan of. I mean, what are your thoughts on it? I mean, JB had his thoughts. Like, I guess maybe there's some pros and cons, but I think it's getting more fans to the sport of rodeoing, right?
Probably. I'm not sure. I haven't been to a team event live. I've seen the stuff. I've seen guys post about it on their individual. Got a ride for my team, and like got one down for my team. I've seen some of those posts, but man, I just don't know. Because you'd have to, JB's the one to ask, because I haven't been to a PBR teams event. It sounds like they're gaining traction and people are enjoying it and they're rooting for a team. I think so long as you can make it good for the bull rider, it's got to be entertaining for the audience, number one, which bull riding is, and that's why it's done so well. But, so long as it authentically does create a camaraderie with your team, and there's not like any sort of forced animosity for entertainment's sake between other teams, which I don't know why there would be, but sometimes I guess I could see that being some friendly competition is great. I'm not against that at all, but at the end of the day, like rodeo is rodeo, meaning like it's me against my bull. It's me against my bronc. And that's why you see guys competing against each other, but they're still best friends and actually travel together and pull each other's bull ropes. And so I don't think you'll probably ever shake that, and not that they would want to, but I guess what I'm saying in the long run, like I do think it's a good thing. I do think it's good for the sport. And I think for it to continue to be, it's just we got to make it good for the bull riders.
That's very intelligent, and we've heard that too. You don't want to take any money out of their pocket. You want to, because individual rides is something that they still all love. I will say that. That's what I've gathered when it comes to not being in the team.
And the only reason, like the only thing I could see is just like if you got somebody carrying the team.
Correct.
But if that person's getting rewarded the way they should, and the people who just continually are not riding, they get cut, which I think is what happens. Mm-hmm. Well, then that's how you solve that problem. So that would be, I don't have any rocks to throw at it, but if I'm dissecting it and trying to find some, that might be one, like how do you keep somebody, like Kai's going to be on somebody's team, Kai Hamilton, and he's going to ride most of his bulls. He's just one of those caliber of bull riders. And so is he okay with carrying the team at times? And I think he will be if he's compensated appropriately.
Who's the best bull rider right now?
Second to Dale Brisby. Yeah. I think, I'm a big fan of Kai and his attitude. It's so similar to JB's. Also Stetson. He's just the whole Wright family, they make it so simple. Execute the fundamentals every time. And Ryder is, I think he's the second oldest. It's Rusty, then Ryder, and these are Cody Wright's sons. And Ryder, they call him the Iceman. And if you were following with his career, his first in FR, he won the first 4 rounds in a row. And he just goes out and he just gets his mark out and spurs his broncs. And Stetson's the same way with bull riding. It's so black and white to them. And I think that Stetson's going to probably get the most world titles. And I could see him going over to the PBR, except that he loves riding broncs. and they don't have those over there. So he'll probably stick around the PRCA for a little while. But plus he made like $900,000 that one year in PRCA, year before last. So that's pretty dang good money.
Yeah, no kidding.
You know? That's pretty good money. So that's
not $7 million or anything like that.
But $7 million, JB stretched out over his career. You know, we're talking about 1 year.
True, yeah.
So if he can, you know,
yeah, I think the most that JB made in 1 year. Does anybody know that? I think it was.
Well, when you win the world, they give you $1 million.
They
pay it out over, you know, a few years, so you get $100,000 a year, and he's had 2 of those, and so.
Now, is that a money thing, or is that a protecting that individual, not to just give them $1 million right off the bat?
Oh, I bet that's a money thing.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I doubt. No, that's a money thing. They're not concerned about what that person does with it. It's their money. They want it.
Yeah. One thing that you do a really good job at that just organically draws people back to your brand, the show, etc., the buying the merch, all these extracurricular content things that you've done, whether it's Netflix, the Yellowstone, like that type of stuff. What else have you done? Like the Netflix thing. Tell me about that. That was, what was the name? Was it
How to Be a Cowboy?
How to Be a Cowboy.
That was cool. It was fun. I think we made a good show. We didn't make the show I would have made. You know, I mean, it was me out there, and all that stuff really happened. But it would have looked different but I never made a show, and I never worked with Netflix. And so I really kind of punted and let the production company take over. And I think they did a good job. And there were some places where I put my foot down. They wanted me to go into more detail about my dad. They wanted me to take my glasses off. And I remember I was sitting on a horse in my arena, and I knew that a Netflix show would help me essentially what I talked about earlier, continue to do every day what I'm doing now. Like, that's my goal, because I love what I do. Like, if they shut off the internet tomorrow for whatever reason, I had to stop doing it, I would go to bed at night knowing I never took a day for granted. Not one kid walking up to me, not one video, not one t-shirt sold, not one autograph, nothing. I've never taken it for granted. People might think I have, but I know that every day is a blessing, and I'm going to soak it up. But regardless, I'm sitting in my arena. I know that Netflix can give me longevity in my brand, because brand is everything. Brand wins over sales, over all of it. Brand wins. And that's what Netflix was going to provide. But this guy told me, he's like, they want you to take your glasses off. And I was like, I can't do it.
Have you ever taken your glasses off?
I mean, I'm committed to the bit.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it. I don't care. But the point is like, they said they want you to take your glasses off. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. He's like, well, this is a deal breaker. And verbatim, just immediately, as quick as he said it, I said back, well, then break the deal. And it's going back to that other thing we talked about. Like, well, you're going to have to move to Fort Worth. It's a deal breaker. Well, then break the deal.
Yeah.
You know, like, this is me, and this is how I'm going to, you know, and so there were some authenticity moments there that I just wouldn't sacrifice. But anyways, I like the show. It is different than and you can tell that by my YouTube. That's what I'm probably the most passionate about right now, content-wise, or I'm not sure what order, but my podcast and my essentially vlogs, my Rodeo Time episodes. We've done upwards of 400 Rodeo Time episodes. And they're the most fun, but it's also the future for me. I think if you don't do vlogs, you should consider them.
I have to be better at that. I do. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't think you should do them to check a box, but if you enjoy them, you should do them.
Yeah. Can I ask you something?
Sure.
What do you think? I can't thank you enough for hosting me and coming on the show. It's been fantastic. When it comes to your life outside of Dale Brisby, like, how many people actually truly know about your life? Like, your name hasn't always been Dale Brisby.
Oh yeah, no, Dale Brisby. That's what my mama.
You don't talk about that type of stuff much.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
But I mean, a pretty good amount of people know me outside of cameras, you know, everybody in this room. There's 3 or 4 of my buddies, Cowboy being one of them, that I'll talk to on the phone 2, 3, 4 times a week. I've got a lot of friends coming up through FFA, through rodeo, through, just doing life, college, you know, girlfriends, college roommates. There's a lot of people out there that know a lot about me.
I mean, leading up to this episode, whether I was talking to people in the ag space, in the content creation space, whether it was JB, anybody in rodeoing, whether it was the ag gear team, right? I mean, people that have been around you going to these national events, I mean, and what you've even brought to me today, you have a great reputation, man, and your knowledge and you speaking, and it's opinionated, right? I mean, nobody's right or wrong, but what you have experienced in life through a lot of things, you could bring a lot to the world, to be honest with you.
Man, I appreciate that so much. One time I was at a rodeo. I was at a big rodeo and ended up behind the chutes and didn't plan on being back there, but I ended up getting kicked out. And I mean, I'm literally just standing behind the chutes, and cop comes over. He's like, "Hey, you can't be back here." I was like, "Okay, whatever." And I left, and there was a couple of people that I heard a guy later talking about it and like really painting me. This guy was a hater, and I just kind of overheard him talking about it as if I was like just the worst guy in the world. Like I was just the biggest POS because I had snuck into this rodeo. And I told somebody, I was like, man, at the end of my career, if that's the worst thing you got on me is that I snuck into a rodeo, then I probably did okay, you know. And Lord willing, that is the case. You know, I hope I don't, you know, upset any fan or do anything. You know, I'm human, and I've got, you know, my own set of flaws, which all the people in this room know well. Like, Donnie will be the first one to tell you how big of an asshole I am, right, Donnie? Yep, there it is. But the point is like, I am just doing my best, but I like to circle back to my faith. And I do have like a little Bible study that I'll do with people, and you can text me the word Bible to my my phone number that's on my Instagram, and it'll subscribe you to once or twice a month. I'll put out a little Bible study on an unlisted YouTube video.
Dang, that's cool.
And I'm not a preacher, so I don't want to put out this public sermon. Like I'm not qualified. Like, you can take these extra steps to get this very personal thing where I talk about what I'm studying in the scripture that week. I'm not a theologian. I read this. This is what I think about it. And that's where people probably get the closest to, you know, an intimate view as to what I'm dealing with. And most of the time it circles back somehow to pride. You know, I feel that that's the biggest problem with the world today. Pride is what caused the devil to become the devil. Pride is what the devil used to tempt Adam and Eve in the garden, because if they ate that fruit, it would make them like God. Pride comes before destruction, and pride is competitive. So when you feel yourself competing with another guy, when you feel yourself not liking another, not you in particular, but just anybody, like if someone is like, you feel that competitiveness in you rise up, it could be pride. All pride is competition. Not all competition is pride, but all pride is competition. Well, the opposite of pride is humility. And so in my personal walk, I've been relentlessly searching out and trying to expose the pride in my life. And so anyhow, that's like a little personal thing about me, where I do think that those get closest to me can probably tell that I deal with that, you know, but I do try to deal with it. And I don't know. I want to live a life that points people to Jesus. And I think God put me in this space as a comedian, an entertainer, a rodeo cowboy. I don't feel called to be a preacher right now. I do feel called to be a rodeo cowboy who's a Christian. a comedian who's a Christian. So that's kind of the personal side of Dale Brisby, I guess.
Love that. Thank you, man.
Yeah,
Seriously.
no worries. Yeah.
Real quick before we wrap up, I do want to continue to talk about this operation that you have, and you mentioned a little bit before, and I'm interested now, is this intern program, because we're out in the middle of nowhere. I want everybody to realize this, but this spot that we are in is unbelievable. Dale hosted me at his Airbnb last night. He's got a beautiful studio, warehouse where everything happens. And I'm wondering, I'm sure everybody else is wondering, how do you get the help that you need? This intern program is...
So, yeah, like I said, my dad was a roughie. In that end of the arena, there's 5 things you can do: bareback, saddle bronc, bull riding, bull fighting, and pickup man. I found myself early in my career following in my dad's footsteps, which was, in his words, kind of a jack of all trades, a master of none. Him being a jack of those 5 trades, and also other things in rodeo and ranching, but essentially he felt like he didn't get very far in one particular event because he did them all. And in college, that's what I did. I had my PRCA card fighting bulls. I competed in bears, broncs, bulls. I loved bronc riding and bull riding. Those were probably the 2 I enjoyed the most. But regardless, I got a lot of experience in them. I also realized how important it was to practice, get on buck and stock. And it's very hard in rough stock to consistently get to practice. As a timed event guy, you and a buddy y'all can rope, a couple of pins of steers, and it's not a big deal. There's no physical, you don't have to have a lot of people. It's not dangerous for the most part. But usually with rough stock, like you'd be lucky to find somewhere that might buck stock once a week, and it takes a lot of people, and it takes a lot of stock and feed. And I've always found myself since college being a guy that had I always positioned my life where I had access to practice. And then eventually I bought some panels and some buck and shoots. I would always find places, I had places set them up, and got a couple of practice broncs and bulls. And then I'm out here, I've got that set up, and I realized I need help. And I mean, it was the week I decided to take on an intern. This kid reached out and was like, "Hey, I need college credit for an internship. Will you take one on?" I had a little shanty of a bunkhouse. He didn't want to ride. He was my first one. Dean, we called him Deanie Weenie String Bikini. He came on, and he just legitimately wanted college credit. And that was maybe, we counted them up, I can't remember, but 25 interns ago. Somewhere between 25 and 30 maybe, if you count the short-term ones. And so the next one after that, and everyone since, has pretty much wanted to ride bulls, broncs, bareback. We haven't had any bullfighters, surprisingly. And then I got this text messaging thing, this platform called Community. You should look into it, where you can text me, and I'll text back on it, but I can also mass text if I need to. And if you text me a word, it puts you in a group. For instance, Bible, it puts you in my Bible study group. Intern. Well, I've had thousands of people text me the word intern. And whenever I need a position filled, like I have now, I've got 3 spots open right now.
Oh, wow. There you go.
I send a text to that group. And I say, all right, hey, this is the position and this is how you apply. And typically the kind of people that apply is someone like, let's take Ty, for instance, sitting closest to you. He's from Kentucky. He had been on 20 bulls, wanted to ride bulls, doesn't really, had to, you get out in Kentucky, Tennessee, some of those spots, you might be 3 or 4 hours away from a practice pen.
Yep.
And so Ty wanted to ride bulls, and he saw that we were bucking every week, and it's appropriate bulls for where his level was at. Something's not going to kill him off right away. And well, he also needs a job. So he hit me up and sent in a video, and it was the timing was right, where he needed a place to go when I needed someone to work. And so, yeah, we brought him on, and he's been here for now 2.5 years. And they actually get paid. So, they typically, you work for free for 2 weeks. That's the internship. But in videos, I continue to call them interns to market to the world that I have that available. And usually when someone hears the word intern, they think two things. I'm not going to get paid and it's short term.
Yep.
And, well, you are going to get paid and it's going to have the potential to be long term. But if somebody reaches out to me with that mindset, like they want to work for me and they don't think they're going to get paid, they're pretty sold on the position. Well, I'm going to pay you when you get here, but man, you really want to be here, don't you? Well, come on. So it kind of changes the conversation. When you and sometimes I will put out a video for like, hey, I've got a paid employee position available. Well, then you get people sending you their email and they feel a little entitled, like, yeah, you need to hire me. Like, hold on, asshole.
Yeah.
I don't need to hire anybody. Like, maybe I do, but it makes that now all of a sudden you got that little competition thing going in my pride will make me not want to. But if you come here willing to work for free, dang, man, you really want to be here. And that's what, since we're so remote, that's what I'd like. I'd like somebody who really wants to be here. Somebody over the age of 21 who doesn't have a lot of baggage.
Some baggage, just not a lot of baggage.
Meaning like if you come in here with like a mortgage and a wife and 4 kids and credit card debt and a truck payment and a boat payment, like I'm not going to be able, this ain't going to work, for a lot of reasons like this. But if all you got's a phone bill and a drive to work hard and you can take orders, then we're going to get along.
Good to go. 3 spots open in the Dale Brisby intern program.
One of them is graphic design. The other 2 are the media team.
Okay, cool. I might need to throw my resume in there. Do you have a bull out here that I can hop on? Never hopped on a bull, to be honest with you.
I have one that you like can, as in physically, but I don't have one I would allow you to.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
just because of
for your own safety.
For my own safety.
Yep.
Okay.
No. I really do. I call him a bucket list bull. That guys that have never been on, I put him on, and he's also goes by the nickname Birthday Cake. His original name was Trunk, but yeah, he's just a little black bull that sometimes turns back, but very slow. But right now our arena is under construction, so
have to come back and do that.
Yeah, we're not bucking bulls right now in our own arena, so I'm probably at some point this week going to have to drive down to Kai's and buck some bulls there.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I really do. Thanks for having me. I mean, me and Frank, it was just the hospitality has been second to none, and it's been awesome.
Well, I've had a lot of caffeine, so I hope I didn't ramble too much.
No, it was great. Thanks again to Ranch Fuel. Another plug for Ranch Fuel. I don't even know who these guys are, but this is my second day in a row being jacked up on them, and I love them.
Well, everybody thinks that I own the company. I'm not going to say I don't.
You do a good job with them, so Ranch Fuel, I mean, there's your guy. As always, I appreciate y'all tuning in today. Dale Brisby and I had a great conversation. We did not talk about politics, okay? Thanks for tuning in as always, and continue to like, comment, subscribe, share. Do whatever you got to do to be like a farmer.
Well, Dale, yeah.